What if I told you that you could have almost the same clarity, resolution and detail as Audeze LCD5, a $4,500 headphone, but for $1,700? This is the Audeze MM-500, a headphone designed for music creation, music production, music mixing and music mastering, and which has a surprisingly high price-performance ratio. Usually when we talk about headphones, we talk about headphones that are priced correctly for their performance. I think that the MM-500 is very underpriced for its performance. It performs considerably above its price point. And this is because I just heard the Audeze LCD5 made by the same company, and those two have many features in common, especially the resolution and the detail. MM-500 is a headphone designed for the music creator. It is designed less with the audiophile and music listener in mind and more with the audio engineer, audio mixer and audio master in mind. This is designed for those who produce the music, not necessarily for those who listen to music. Audeze actually noted this correctly, but usually music producers and music engineers don't have as much money to spend on tools as audiophiles do. This is because being an audiophile is a hobby. It means that we are prepared to spend whatever it takes to get the best quality, while audio engineers need a tool to do a job. And this is what the MM-500 is. It has been designed by Many Marroquin, the audio engineer, and it is basically made to be utopia. Utopia in both price-performance ratio, comfort and everything else. I am using an aftermarket cable. This is the Eletech Inferno cable, and I have also used them with a cable from Kotori Audio, both of those being balanced, because the MM-500 is easy to drive. It is made for the audio engineer, so it is not very hard to drive. Audeze LCD5, for example, requires a very expensive, very powerful headphone amplifier. Compared to that, MM-500 can be driven even from a smartphone if it is slightly better, or from a portable dongle DAC/headphone amplifier. On iBasso DX320, this bad boy right here, it only requires about 1/4 of the volume to be incredibly loud, so it is quite sensitive. Of course, there is no trace of hissing, just as you'd expect from a high-end headphone, and MM-500 has something special to it. It has the sound that will leave you with your jaw drop. If I have to finish the build quality and the comfort before talking about the sound, I have to add that they are quite heavy. It is a very heavy headphone. It weighs in half a kilogram or 500 grams. It is quite heavy, and that is excluding the cable, and the Eletech Inferno is also heavy. The weight is very evenly distributed. It doesn't really have a hotspot. For example, it doesn't push harder at the top of my head than on the rest of the headphone, but it does have quite a tight clamping force, so it sits quite tightly on my ears. You can also hear a bit of driver flex if you push on the ear cups fastly. For example, if I do this, I can hear a bit of driver flex. I can woo, woo. And they are a bit heavy, so if you wear them for many hours in a row, you will have some neck strain, especially if you don't handbag a lot and if your neck isn't quite up to the task. On the other hand, everything about the sound makes me fall in love with them. They have the detail, resolution and clarity that is almost as good as Audeze LCD5. It is above Kennerton's Roar, for example, considerably above them. It is pretty much in the same line and slightly above HiFi Man HA1000 version 2, namely those bad boys that I have here. I have both of them for listening, for personal listening, because I love both of them. HiFi Man HA1000 version 2 is much wider sounding and has a much more scattered soundstage. Compared to that, the Audeze MM-500 has a very precise soundstage. It doesn't have a very wide soundstage, but it has good depth and it has outstanding instrument separation. The overall resolution just helps with that a lot, because even when you hear something happening in the background, they immediately reveal to you what that instrument is and what it is doing. Compared to that, with HA1000 version 2, sometimes you do hear an instrument in the background, but it is pushed very far in the background. Out of those two, the HA1000 version 2 is better if you enjoy a real-to-life experience. For example, if you want to hear music as you would hear it in a concert hall, while Audeze MM-500 is better if you want to hear every single detail brought to you. It is like, this is the ultimate headphone revealer. This is how I describe it. It's made to reveal sound. It's made to reveal every single bit of detail. The Audeze MM-500 is also incredibly good with voices, with tonality, and with sounding just perfect. For most Audeze headphones, I typically needed some kind of EQ. They either didn't have quite enough bass, or they had a bit too much treble, or they had a bit too little treble. For example, Audeze LCD2 Classic had a very smooth and very fluid and easy to listen to treble. And the same could be said about Audeze LCD MX4, which had a very smooth treble and needed a bit more. Audeze LCD XC or X closed back, on the other hand, had a bit too much treble and it was a bit too bright for my tastes. The MM-500, just like LCD5, is perfect. I wouldn't change a single thing about their sound. I would listen to the MM-500 as it is. It is perfect. It already is sublime in sound. It already has a very precise, very refined and very clear sound. It's like every single voice is as sweet as it should be. For example, female voices are absolutely incredible. It's like the artist is singing right to you, right in your ears. It's like she's right there with you, listen, singing to you. On the other hand, for rock pieces, for Metallica and such, they just capture that raw energy and just that vivid feeling that you are right there in the studio while the song is being recorded. They capture the emotion and the fury of metal very well. It's like the MM-500 is perfect for basically playing music, and this is the fun part about them. Usually with headphones, they have some kind of coloration that would deter you from hearing music. MM-500 doesn't have this kind of coloration. It's like it's perfectly neutral, dead, spot on, precise. It's like the precision is their second name. This is how I would say it. It's like they were made to never color your music. They were made to show you what the music is. And I think this is ideal because they are made for music engineers, for music mixing and mastering artists. They are made for those who need to hear everything precisely, for those who want to do that master recording that must never be colored, that master recording that must be true for every single other bit of coloration to be added afterwards. Audeze MM-500 is also exceptional at keeping this character constant. It doesn't matter what you are driving them out of. I prefer using balanced cables because balanced sources tend to have a slightly better dynamic, better impact and better sound, and the main source I have been using for them has been either iBase DX320 or HiFiMan EF400, which is a desktop DAC/headphone amplifier. Both of them have more than enough power and more than enough headroom to drive the Audeze MM-500. My mind keeps drifting to calling them LCD500 or something because usually Audeze uses the LCD naming scheme. But I noticed that even if you plug the Audeze MM-500 through an entry-level interface, you are going to get the same sound. You are going to get a very similar level of clarity, impact, dynamics and precision. You are going to get a very powerful and very punchy bass that doesn't really present an excess of lows compared to what is in the recording. Very bassy songs will rattle your brains through the MM-500. They will just vibrate on your head and they will give you this vibrational motion in your head, while songs that have been recorded brighter, especially older music, will sound as such. It is not a forgiving headphone. It is not a headphone designed to euphemize. It is a headphone designed to be honest. It is a headphone designed to present you music as it is, without anything added or anything subtracted. It is a headphone designed to be a headphone. The build quality should be more than enough to last you in a studio, in a real studio where you have to deal with artists. And artists can sometimes be quite messy. Even I, as an artist, am a bit messy. When I start drawing, when I start singing, I lose this calm temper of mine and I start making some noise because the creational process is a complicated one and it is a very, very bumpy road. What I can promise you though is that you will not have a bumpy road with Audeze MM-500. You are just going to have a lot of fun. You are going to have a headphone that will last you a lifetime. I don't suppose those will break and the drivers are made perfect. Audeze is one of the oldest companies designing planar magnetic drivers, as I hope Audiophile is in your heart. I hope that comes as a statement. I hope you'll consider liking this video if you enjoyed the content. Also press subscribe to Audiophile Heaven for more content. I thank you so much for watching and I hope we'll see each other really soon. Bye bye.